And in 2020, actually, early 2020, I was asked to take on responsibility for the internal comms function at TalkTalk. I suppose I've got a great relationship with the CEO, so her and my boss, the chief people officer, asked me to take on this responsibility. So I suppose that's how I got into internal comms, having been at an organisation for a while, knowing, having good relationships, knowing the culture. It kind of felt like a natural next step in my career development. And then the stars aligned when the previous internal comms director got a role internally, going more into the customer experience side.
Great.
So that was January 2020, but we all know then what happened in March 2020. So you could say that was quite a baptism of fire coming into internal comms. And obviously we'll talk about some of the learnings from that. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the first things I noticed actually coming into the role. And actually, there was a very new corporate affairs director at the time as well. So we were a bit of a meeting of minds in that we were sort of noticing things that weren't joined up, or my team were developing some content that could have been really helpful for her, developing the TalkTalk LinkedIn page. And vice versa, there might have been a great award ceremony that we'd won an award at, and we'd sort of talk about it excellent before we'd put anything out internally. And then you put brand and marketing into the mix, and it was just all over the place, to be honest. Those things, there was missed opportunities all over the place. So we set about putting that right and getting, all the things you would imagine, shared calendars, a team site, regular meetings. We had a good kickoff meeting where we got everybody's buy-in of working better together, and everybody was nodding and agreeing and like, yes, this sounds amazing. And already, even on the onboarding, from the recruitment journey through to the onboarding, prospective candidates and then recruited candidates, actually, when they come in on day one, they're talking about those values because they can see, they've been on the careers website maybe, or but the LinkedIn page, the TalkTalk LinkedIn page is bringing to life, and other social media that we've got as well. We're now on Instagram and TikTok, bringing the inside of TalkTalk externally on those channels. And any internal news can easily become external content, whether you like it or not. So you've got to be very joined up with that reputation protection team, as I call them, because anything that my team put out on our internal intranet could easily be taken and shared by an employee. So if there's anything slightly controversial, we're always checking in with that team. So I would say, we treat it as though there's one story, one narrative, regardless of the audience. And you might tweak it, depending on the audience a little bit, but to have that one joined up story and narrative around who we are, what we do, what we stand for, how we're serving our customers, is really standing us in good stead. That we saw a side to leaders that we'd never seen before. We held company all hands on, like, we had to get to grips with live Teams events very quickly, my internal comms team, because we'd never used that technology before, even though we'd been using Microsoft Teams for a couple of years at that point. And we had the CEO live streaming from her bathroom, because that was the only room that locked in her house. And quite a nice bathroom, all being said, but it was the only room that locked, and her kids were at home and homeschooling and stuff like that. So she actually said that, and she had a laugh about it. And so the biggest learning from all of that, and we definitely got this feedback from employees, is, wow, wasn't that great to see a different side, see that humility, see that realness, not putting on a facade or a corporate front. Actually, we brought them to life. Like, it's changed leadership communications, I think, even now, because our leaders let the guard down a bit, and that's continued, and we've seen that continue, and that's paying off in our employee engagement scores, etc. I think just the last sort of big learning was around, I think as an organisation, we realised like who we are and what we stand for, which is why then we refreshed the values, and that we care value really came to the fore. And sort of a big wake-up call for me was, I think it was 12 months after the pandemic, we had a devastating kind of thing happen in the Northwest with some floods. And I dug out this policy around other absence policy it was, and to see what we even said about when something horrible like that happened. And this policy was awful. It was like, basically, you need to ring your manager. It was nothing about we want to support you, we'll give you all the time you need or whatever, which is kind of the tone of what we'd been saying through COVID. So that led then to a big policy overhaul. You know, we had inadvertently, without realizing it, changed our tone through COVID. You know, we didn't furlough anyone. We gave everyone full sick pay. We cared. We did regular comms. We did events. We kept people together. We did people charters. We did well-being check-ins. So then, coming out of that, reading a few policies, it was like, there's a
didn't match.
Yeah.